What I'm going to share in this video will not only stop you losing money, but will actually make you more money and a more enjoyable and profitable serviced accommodation business. Hi, my name's Dave. My company, Central Belfast Apartments, manages a portfolio of over 70 properties and did over £2.5 million in bookings last year. As well as running CBA, I also coach people like you who are getting started in serviced accommodation to scale up fast. If you get some value from this video, please hit subscribe, leave me a comment, but really importantly, click the link below to see all the ways that we can work together and I can help you out. Okay, so 5 common mistakes that I see people making when they're setting their rates for serviced accommodation. Okay, so mistake number 1 is just setting one nightly rate. So that means if someone books for one night, it's £50. If they book for 2 nights, it's £50 times 2. Book for 3 nights, it's £50 times 3. And the reason this does not work is because it is a competitive price. I'm sure you've done your research, and it's a competitive price for one night or maybe even 2 nights. But what it doesn't do is encourage longer stays. So what you're going to, in that case, end up with is lots of short stays in your calendar. And that's really not what you want, because they're so unprofitable. The costs are so high because you've got regular cleaning and linen changes. What you really want to get in your property is long stays. And by offering a reducing nightly rate, depending on the length of stay, that's how you get and encourage longer stays in your property. Mistake number 2 I see people making when they're setting the rates is they set and forget. So they'll set up the rates for the year ahead, low, medium and high demand, weekends and weekdays. They've done a bit of research, they've seen what the competition looks like, and they set the rates and they just leave it. And they expect that bookings are going to remain competitive, keep coming in, even in periods of high and low demand, and they aren't actually changing and adjusting those rates on a daily or weekly basis. It's so important that you play about with your rates. You're constantly checking the market, the competition, the availability out there in your area to see what everyone else is charging, because it could go up as well as down. And you need to keep adjusting your rates to remain competitive, or before you know it, you're going to come into a week, have a full big gap, and it's going to be too late. And that leads me on to mistake number 3, and that is adjusting your rates too late. If you see an upcoming gap in your diary, in your calendar that you want to try and sell, leaving it until 3 or 4 or even a week's time before that gap is too late. You need to be looking a month, 2 months in advance, spotting those gaps and reducing your price gradually as you get closer to those. Do not wait until the last minute and then just drop your prices as low as you can to try and pick up some last minute bookings. It is a much more prudent and sensible policy to be looking ahead, plan ahead, gradual drops or increases. That is the way you're going to pick up a better booking. Mistake number 4 is not enlisting occupancy-based pricing. Occupancy-based pricing is when the price of your property changes depending on the amount of people who are staying in it. So if you have a 1-bedroom property with a sofa bed, you can say that sleeps 4, and it's good to have a different price point for whether it's 2 people staying or 4 people. Likewise, if you have a 2-bedroom property with a sofa bed, it really is a good idea to change the price depending on whether 6 people are staying or 4 people. Now you might be thinking, well, my place sleeps 6, I have a price for 6 people and I want to get that price no matter what. And that's fine. The issue is if 4 people search, or a booking of 4 people searches and your property comes up, the chances are, because you've only set a rate for 6 people, it's going to be too expensive because it's for 6 people, but only 4 people are making this search. Now, it only needs to be a small difference, maybe £10 per person per night that you're going to drop or increase your prices. But that £10 per night can make all the difference in keeping your place more competitive with smaller groups or larger groups. You're just appealing to a much wider cross-section of people who are searching. And mistake number 5, and this is the one that I was most guilty of until recently, it's not adjusting your rates up in periods of high demand. Now, I've touched on it earlier, and if you're anything like I was, you're very good at looking at your diary, looking at your calendar and seeing gaps, seeing areas where you need to drop your price, and it's easy to focus on those. You never really look at the bookings that are already in because they're already in. But what you need to remember is if periods of high demand, you could have been increasing those rates and getting even better bookings, more expensive bookings in your diary. But it's hard to do that. It's so easy to just focus on the gaps on when we need to reduce our prices. And this is one of the key things that I want you to take away from this video. Look for events, look for concerts, look for things that are happening in your area where you think that there'll be periods of high demand. Look at the competition, look on the booking sites, see periods yourself of high demand before you've got booked. And when you're available, but there's not much else available in the market, get those prices up. You have to capitalize on that high demand. Now, adjusting your rates this often in this much detail can be a full-time job. If you're like me, you won't have the time to do all this stuff yourself. Now, with lots of these mistakes, you can systemize those on a channel manager or on the booking sites like booking.com. You can set up occupancy-based pricing. You can set up discounts for lengths of stay. But in terms of reducing the price or increasing it and doing it regularly and consistently, you're going to need to implement some sort of rate pricing software. There are several ones out there that integrate with lots of different websites and channel managers. The one I use is called Room Price Genie. If you click the link below, you can get a free trial. And honestly, since I plugged this into our system, it has been a game changer. It adjusts our rates automatically up to 7 times a day. We can plug our entire portfolio of over 70 properties into it. Crucially, it adjusts the rates up, not just down. It scrapes the data from the market. It knows exactly what's available in your area, how much availability you have in your portfolio, and it adjusts it gradually up and also down. You can set how aggressive it is. You can set a maximum and a minimum price that you want it to go to. It's been game changing for my business since we plugged it in. I would definitely recommend Room Price Genie. There are other ones out there, but what I absolutely hope you take away from this video is put more emphasis on your rates, because by plugging something in like a rate pricing software, you might look at the upfront cost, but think about the money that it's going to not just save you from making mistakes. You haven't dropped your price quick enough, but also you've missed out on the higher rates that you could have got. I hope you found some value in this. Please leave a comment, subscribe, click the link, and see all the ways that we can work together. See you next time.